Hi, Misha here, and hope everyone had a good, relaxing Memorial Day weekend. I spent it with some family, an old friend, and at a very special place, at least personally to me. And of course, guns were involved, although other things were going on, so time and all that was a bit on the limited side. But these are some that I have been wanting and needing to fire, and was able to get a few mags through them, at least to kind of make sure they worked initially. Of course, we have the HD18, finally putting rounds through it. We have the T65K2 from T91 Tactical. Also from T91 Tactical, the T91, at least the upper. Then we have the SG751 SAPR, one of the few Swiss guns we've not fired on camera before. And another Swiss gun from a different company. We have the B+T. This is the SCW edition, which is a special edition of their APC9K Pro. This is in 9mm. It's a new submachine gun for the U.S. Army and even Air Force. And just to have a bit of a control, brought out the good old Zenith Z5K, which is their MP5K. So I wanted to shoot these, and J-Ro, who you'll meet in just a minute, I actually went to college with 20 years ago, and he was one of my main shooting partners for about 10 years back in the day. We've been meaning to get out and shoot, and his significant other isn't terribly familiar with guns, but since there are some around their house, they both felt it was time for her to kind of get her 101, her basics in with firearms. That's a cat, by the way, making the noise. So you'll see in this video, J-Ro kind of giving 101 instructions to her. Kind of interesting. And if nothing else, just kind of relaxing montage, collage of various shooting things. So his approach to instructing her might prove interesting. Also kind of interesting, he and I both were in the same fields, had the same major in college, which had nothing to do with firearms, and now we both have careers in the firearms industry. So even though we might have minor disagreements on favorite guns, for example, he's a big 1911 fan, and I tend to prefer different designs. In the general sense, we both do it. And you can see scenery. This will be my family's cabin, pretty deep in the Ozark Mountains. Again, a very special place to me and my family. A lot of good memories out there. And I will be doing an extended video on my personal channel over at Misha. And I'll have more anecdotes and stories from time out there. As many of you know, I lost my father at the end of February this year, and so for Memorial Day, it seemed fitting to do a video out at the cabin, which is probably his favorite place on earth, frankly. And to be fair, he also built it with his own 2 hands and probably a beer. So with that, let's kind of cut forward to J-Ro and his significant other, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, you don't want to be using your hand to push the gun up. What you do is you tuck your arm in, and then it just rests. Tell you what, while we're working on that. So the more tucked in you are here, the less you're trying to hold the gun up with your left hand.
It's still heavy.
Yeah, it's still a little heavy.
I can just feel it. I can feel it pulling right there.
Yeah.
It's just heavy.
On fire. So whenever you're ready, there you go.
Hold on.
And that trigger's real light, so touch it gently and then pull.
Yeah, that's a lot better. Oh. I don't know when it's empty.
Well, for starters, to pull the trigger, nothing happens. Keep your finger out of the trigger guard here. Let's put it on safe. Roll the gun over. Okay, if it's empty, this will be locked all the way back. Right now, it's still forward, which means it's successfully stripped around off the top of the magazine and put it into battery. So that gun's still loaded.
Okay.
Go ahead and keep shooting until it won't shoot anymore, and then you'll see what it looks like when it's empty.
Safety.
Okay, you're still on safe.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're ready, wipe that off with your thumb and gently touch the trigger. Nothing happening?
No, what's happening? I was just readjusting. Oh, now there's not.
Take a look.
It's empty.
That means it's chambered all the way back. And if you look, you can see the top of the magazine right here. See that?
Mm-hmm.
That's the top of the magazine.
Mm-hmm. Do it again. Oh, I see it now. Okay.
You see the top of the magazines there?
Uh-huh.
This is called the follower. It follows the stacks of bullets up to the top of the magazine.
Right.
Some magazines make the followers with like a bright orange or something, so it's real easy to look in there and see it, but most don't. And if you look, you can see the top of the magazine. There's no bullet in the magazine. And if you look this way, you can see that there isn't one sticking in the pipe.
It's still on fire.
That's fine. Now, the more the magazine's full, the harder it's going to be to press things down. That's why I took a few off the top for you to get used to it.
Yeah.
But like I said, the easiest way to do this is to press the top round with your thumb on the back here, and then use the edge of the casing to push on the top one. Here you go.
Is this the rest of what's going to fit in here?
No. If you look on the back of the magazine, these magazines have an indicator.
Oh, they have numbers.
And so if you can see a little bit of metal showing in there, then there's a bullet in that position.
You know what? This is a gorgeous weekend for Memorial Day.
You're going to put your thumb on top. When you take the bullet to push down on it, put one finger under it like this, and then take your thumb. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
You'll get the hang of it.
Well, he's always had it loaded.
Well, and a lot of people use mag loading tools too.
Yeah, like there are clips you can put on it that'll depress the spring and you just drop them in. I don't necessarily like them.
I find they're neat, but then they're just as much. You're just
they're a gimmick.
I do kind of like some for the tighter mags, like the Suomi, the finish. You gotta have one for that.
Yeah, I mean some of them have got really heavy springs on them.
Yeah, like your old school's coffin mags or drums, but yeah, the newer ones, especially the double feeds.
For a 9mm magazine, you ought to be able to just kind of pop them in there.
Agreed. Yeah, I've heard people complain about Uzi mags and Colt 9mm mags, and I don't get it.
Going to be a little stiff. How many you got?
I'm still. You're right. This is kind of hard.
You'll get it. Oh, so that's what she said.
That's what she said.
That one may be just about full. Here, take a look.
Not quite.
Still got room for 3 more. And like I said, the last ones to go in are always going to be a little hard.
They also can make putting the mag in the gun a little harder too, because when you put it in the gun, you're pressing down on the top round, then Sometimes there's not quite enough for it to go
I'm
with.
also coming up just a little too close to where I need to be. That's part of it too. I'm gonna figure it out.
You can tell we've had a lot of rain. You can hear that creek going.
Yeah, it's really been flowing. On the drive out here, everything was not overflowing the riverbanks, but pretty close.
My creek's high.
But temperature-wise, I don't know how we could ask for nicer.
Oh, it's gorgeous out.
Okay.
Let's see, you want to, and you're kind of pushing a little far forward with your thumb there.
Okay.
You just kind of push it down enough to get it moving. And then take this, push the whole stack down. There's room for one more. I'll put that last one in. Okay, feel pretty confident it's unloaded?
I'm very confident since it's unloaded.
Good. Now I'll show you what I meant by the wall. Go ahead and take your firing grip.
Another brick in the wall.
That's good. And this thumb forward. Nice. And ideally what you want is to cover, like these two hands ought to be touching each other, but this hand ought to be touching as much of the grip as possible. That's good. That actually looks really good. And see from there, like I said, you can just kind of turn your thumb up and wipe the safety off and on. And what I want you to do, go ahead and take the safety off. Now, put your finger on the trigger, and I want you to really lightly pull on it until you feel it start to stop. Lightly and slowly pull on
I
it.
feel it right there.
Now, what happens when you pull a little harder? That's the wall. That's the point where it's taking up the slack of the trigger bar engaging with the sear. I think that's right. But it'll stop for a second where it kind of catches, and then pushing it past that point is what releases it and causes the hammer to fall forward.
Your safety is...
With the hammer forward like that, the safety won't go on. So if you wanted to, you can cock that hammer back. There you go.
I'm like, why won't the safety come on?
This is why I personally think that a 1911 is an awesome carry gun, as opposed to something like a Glock. Because if you're comfortable with it, it's second nature to just wipe that safety off and on. It's not like it's costing you any extra time. Oh, you're losing time wiping the safety off. No, you're not, because during the draw, you're going to wipe that safety off as you're taking your firing grip anyway. But if somebody gets hold of your Glock, all they got to do is start pulling the trigger. Somebody grabs your 1911, they're probably not going to be able to shoot the gun.
So, my question is, I'm going to turn my safety off.
Okay.
So, right there is the wall.
Are you feeling it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it takes up just... And this has got very little slack and travel before you hit that wall.
So, my question is when I'm loaded, when I'm...
If you're at the wall, the gun's not going to go off. When
Right.
you push through that, bang, immediately.
So,
And
I feel like I'm pushing too hard, though. I feel like that, like...
Well, the last time you shot it, yeah, you just kind of went right through it.
Is there anything wrong with taking a minute to find the wall before I...
No, I'd recommend that.
Okay.
Because if you start with your finger out further in the trigger guard, and then you're just kind of pulling back to the trigger, that's what they call slapping the trigger. Whereas if you're touching the trigger, you know exactly if you're aimed the way you want to be aimed and whatever before you break the shot.
Okay.
Instead of starting out here and coming all the way back and touching the trigger, you've got much better control over not disturbing your sight picture if you're already at the wall, and then you just break through it when your sight's where you want them. Does that make sense? Well, it'll make sense here in a second. Let's
get to the wall and make sure you're lined up and then fire?
That's right.
Okay.
That's much better than just starting out here and then coming back onto the trigger. Is to be engaged with the trigger already and have pulled it and know where that wall is. Now, not every gun's going to have a wall like that. Like a double action pistol's not going to do that. I mean, yeah, a DA is not going to do that the first time you pull through it. It's just going to keep pulling the hammer back and then drop it.
Okay.
So let's give it a shot.
Okay.
You putting the one back in there we already know is gone?
No, I'm putting the live one back in there.
Yeah, that's what
that
I'm
was
saying.
that was in the barrel.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that wrong?
No, not at all. More joy. More BBs, more bang.
It's
Welcome to
practice.
2021 ammo prices. Every round counts.
Well, and practice of me loading the magazine.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now let's keep your finger on the trigger guard and turn the gun over this way with it downrange so you can operate the slide and look at it. Well,
Safety's on.
downrange. I know. We're going to turn the safety off, and you're going to chamber around. And remember, pull it back and then just let it go with your finger out of the trigger guard. Oh, nope. Keep your grip with your right hand. Use your left hand to operate the slide. Okay? That's hot. Turn your safety on. Grip looks...
I've got my, hold on, I got my right hand weird.
This one good. These
No, I had my right hand weird.
Okay. Now, if you're comfortable with your sight picture, I'm trying to kind of have your weight forward just a little bit. You can wipe the safety off and slowly, carefully find the wall before you break a shot.
Here's the wall. Oh.
Better?
Better. But this does pack a punch.
It's a little punchy.
Did you have your ears in? I'm sorry. Okay.
I was plugging.
Pop stuff.
Pop is deaf for exactly this fucking reason. Too much bang bang, too much rock and roll. Okay, let's do it again. Is that gun loaded or unloaded?
It's loaded.
Okay. Is there one in the pipe?
Yes.
There's definitely one in the pipe.
There's definitely one in the pipe.
Good job. Okay, let's do it again. Only this time,
Is there a way to keep the shell from firing back at me?
no, it's gonna go that way. Did it hit you?
It's hit me last couple of times, yeah.
It's probably bouncing off one of the porch posts.
Yeah, that's probably
Can
right.
I move forward a little bit then?
Jump in the yard.
I'm shaky. I don't know why.
Probably nervous.
A little bit.
And the tension of holding up the loaded weapon can make your muscles shake a little bit too. Now this time, after you take your shot, don't look up to see where it hit. I want you to just stay on the sights.
Shoot it a couple of times.
And shoot it a couple more times.
Okay. I understand that better now.
Okay. Safety back on. I appreciate that. If you're going to take a break, it's always a good habit to be in. Put safety back on.
As for myself, I've really been looking forward to this K2. I'm a sucker for A1 and A2 type guns. And I know that T91 Tactical tends to build nice ones, so I've been really looking forward to it. So with that, let's load up a mag and give it a go. Alright, we got the T65 K2.
We're rolling.
Very first shots.
You're forward. It didn't feed.
Didn't feed. Could be a mag issue. We good there?
I don't think so.
Okay. Want to stop?
We'll try it.
Interesting. Could be a mag thing. Held open. Stop there.
You're impelling him with your empty shells.
Could be a gun problem. Could be a break-in problem. You know what? Let's take the same mag, load it up, and try it in the T91 here.
Okay.
Alrighty, T91.
Rolling.
Hold up. Yep. That's that mag, I'd say then. That's two guns it's done it in.
That looks like a bolt travel speed problem.
Could be. But that's the same mag that did it before. we'll keep on.
Yeah, yeah, bolt's moving too fast. It's overgassed.
So I think it's a magazine issue because it's both guns. J-Ro thinks it could be a gassing issue. To be fair, he's not familiar with the T91 gas system. I did show him briefly when we were out there, but where he works, he's very familiar with direct impingement and, overgassing and or the wrong buffer, which can change your bolt speed. So with that, let's try a different mag or two and see if the problem persists or does not.
All right, we're up.
Try the T91 with the other mag. I'm going to say that's a mag issue.
Mag. I'm going to go with the mag on that one.
I think so. That was a full 30.
Yeah, that worked fine.
Yeah.
Bad mag.
Yep.
We're rolling.
T65K2 with the mag we know works. And she held open. So yeah, I'm going to say that first failure was due to mag. And with that, trial and error, you have to just kind of play around. Magazines can be a culprit. Ammunition can also be a culprit. But also, again, you can't always let the gun off the hook. It can be the gun's fault. It's just in this instance, it does not seem to be. Again, I honestly trust T91 Tactical. It's a small boutique shop. They take a lot of pride in their work. So, yeah, bad mag. We had a few others. We tried with some more GI metal and Magpul, and they worked fine. Again, this was a kind of a multifaceted trip, and we were coming down in a pretty small car, so space was limited, but luckily I did bring 2 or 3 extra mags, and J-Ro had 2 or 3 mags, so between those we were kind of able to zero that in. Now I've been looking forward to shooting this one. This actually just came in 2 days before we went out. I traded it to a customer, Corey. He wanted me to give him a shout out in the video, so shout out. But I had a different Swiss gun he wanted, and he happened to have 2 of these. And I've kind of been wanting to get one of the APC9 Pros for a while, and this special edition is just kind of right up my alley. And since we were able to trade, it worked out quite well. So yeah, why don't J-Ro and I run a couple of mags through it? Come back here. Here, start over again.
This thing is remarkably badass.
Is that your Swiss thingy?
One of them. How am I doing on aiming there?
Okay, let's come to the right just a little bit. Down a bit. Down more. More. Okay, that's pretty safe. We're rolling. You can make it hot whenever you want.
Alrighty, it's ready to go. So let's have the first shots out of this B+T. And she worked. No surprise.
So how do you tell when you're empty?
You stop it there.
That was it, huh? Doesn't take much of a rack, does it?
Nope. Pretty short throw. We're gonna let J-Ro try the SCW.
Man, that is really soft shooting.
Yeah, it is.
It's actually not even all that loud. I mean, like my ear pro wasn't quite all the way in. And that was actually totally comfortable.
Ready?
And we are rolling.
Alrighty, let's try the full 30 round mag in the SCW. definitely soft shooting. So we both felt that it was very soft shooting, and of course it does have a short throw because this is an arm brace. Even with the military stock, it's going to be short though because this is a PDW. We will be doing a full video going into the SCW program history and kind of comparing and contrasting this with other submissions into the program. But an interesting thing, his significant other had fired his Wilson X9, which is a pretty lightweight carry 9mm, but because it is so light, especially with defensive ammo, it does have a little bit of recoil. Well, she saw this, it's bigger. Bigger must mean more recoil. And I wanted her to kind of learn the lesson of that's not always true. So we got her to give it a try. Check it out.
Here we go. That's actually kind of fun.
You didn't want to load a full mag, so that's what you got.
No, I did not want to load a full mag.
Here, I'll take a picture of you with it.
Now, no one can learn everything about shooting guns, especially different types, in one day. But she was making quite good progress, and I think she kind of figured out that she rather enjoyed this. And with that, just to compare it, let's run a couple of mags through the Zenith MP5K, make sure it's still doing well. I've had this one for about 5 years now. And the reason I thought it would be kind of a neat choice, this was replaced by this in some instances. And the fun fact, in the military, a lot of their MP5Ks did not have any kind of shoulder stock. Now, of course, they did have a foregrip, which we're not allowed to have, so, you know, it is what it is. But we'll make do. We'll see how this shoots, and, you know, kind of shoot it, comparing it to the SCW. Now,
I am rolling.
Fire the MP5K, the Zenith Z5K, really. Okay. Now we'll let J-Ro try the MP5K, the Zenith. I'm still gonna get
You know, I liked it a lot better with the extendable stock.
arm brace.
Yeah, well,
Arm brace.
whatever.
I will say one thing. Back in the day, you had a lot of clones and copies of the MP5, MP5K. You know, you had your special weapons. You had Bobcat. You had Kahari later. Yeah, they didn't really run great. The newer guns like the POFs, the Zeniths, and of course the new HKs, but really even the POFs and the Zeniths, they run really well. So even though, yeah, this isn't as comfortable, I think, yeah, as Jared said, if it did have the arm brace on it, it would be better. But I wanted to kind of replicate the military experience with it. So it was reliable, of course, it always has been, but it's a short little gun. Only about a 4.5-inch barrel. When they went to the B+T, they got a 5.5-inch barrel. Stock was standard, foregrip was standard, and yeah, definitely more modern design. So I'm not really knocking the MP5K. It's still a lot of fun, frankly, but I definitely think the APC9 was a smoother shooter. Again, we'll go into a lot more detail on this gun's own video. With that, let's kind of scale things up a bit.
I am rolling. Ready when you are.
All right. very first shots out of the SAPR. Helps if I take the safety off. It's kind of an awkward place safety on this one.
Which one was that one?
The SG751, it's called a SAPR, Swiss Arms Precision Rifle.
That one's loud.
308. Alright, we're gonna let J-Ro try the SAPR now. Now, we didn't run many rounds through this gun because we didn't have an optic. Now, it does have the flip-up iron sights, and these aren't just, you know, toy sights. They're actually usable. In Switzerland, they train to shoot at quite long distances with them. So, you should be able to use this with iron sights. And actually, they're, according to J-Ro, quite decent. But I just kind of wanted to feel it, and it's actually a very pleasant gun. As relatively light as it is, being 308, the recoil is quite manageable. Fun fact, you've heard me talk about the college professor that kind of got me into some aspects of guns, including FALs. Well, that was J-Ro's father. And he was the FAL guy. He helped me build my first two. So I really wanted to let him fire this 751 because it's on 7.62 NATO, just like an FAL. And yeah, J-Ro agreed that we both still love FALs, but I think we both felt, all things considered, this is superior, at least in the handling shooting department. It is lighter, yet still has less felt recoil. You know, and it's got nice modern ergonomics, as you saw with me. The safety is a little, I think it's just the throw. Also, by that point, you know, we've been out shooting for hours, and I think I was just frankly getting tired. But it was a really good gun. Can't wait to drop a ACOG or something like that on here and actually shoot it for, well, I won't be, but someone else will be for actual this. But I just, you know, wanted to have it in. It was here. We had those recent JDI guns. Why not? It only felt right to include a SIG since we had a B+T. Hey, Swiss guns, they're awesome. And again, we'll have several new videos based on the new JDI imports. And with that, we have one more gun. The infamous HD18. I wanted to definitely run a few rounds through it to make sure this new stock was properly fitted, wouldn't come loose or crack or anything. Make sure the handguards were seated properly because of the spring in them. And of course, with the new SVD or Tiger flash hider, just to make sure all the new parts were gelling well. Next time, again, when we're at some place with range, that's the only problem with the mountains out there. There's not really a good distance area, so this kind of gun is just really not well suited for that. But we can at least run a few rounds through it, make sure everything's fitted together, and just kind of, you know, feel how it shoots. So let's do that. All right, HD18, first shots. Should be held open.
There were sparks flying out of that.
Good there?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, HD18. Held open again.
It's a lot of gun. Don't want to fit in the frame.
So yeah, for me, it worked fine and held open, and it had actually very gentle recoil. I would say certainly less than a PSL, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to shooting it again. I really like the trigger on this gun. Even though it's long, as you saw, it's actually quite svelte. In fact, I would say it's overall lighter than our SIG as far as the gun itself. This is a much heavier barrel, even if it's just 16 inches versus Nyon 24 up here. Now, J-Ro did shoot it, but I didn't get it on camera because I had taken a 5-minute break to eat some chicken tenders and get some fluids in me, because again, we've been out for a while. Even though it was really nice weather, you know, you're outdoors all day, you're excited, moving around. Yeah, I had to take 5, so he fired about 30 rounds through it, I think, while I was doing that, guys. So, kind of moving back to J-Ro's significant other. She wanted to become proficient in the X9 because it would be a gun around that she may one day need to pick up. She also wanted to become proficient with his Mossberg 590A1. Believe it or not, that's a gun I sold him about 8 years ago. He and I were big Mossberg fans going all the way back to 2000, 2001. It's probably one thing we bonded over because everyone was kind of Remington. And I like Remington, but we just both had a hankering for Mossbergs. So he still has it. I still have mine, both 590A1s. And, yeah, she wanted to kind of practice with that and learn the basics of shotgunning. And frankly, I think she did pretty darn decent. Check it out.
If there were no rounds in it, you'd have to push this little lever in order to operate the pump. As it is, you don't have to do that. You should be able to pull it back once, and then when you pull forward, here I'll show you what the operating mechanism is going to look like. It's going to bring that carriage down.
I felt it click. Well, I need to try to pump it because that's the hard part too.
Yes. Hold that. And again, remember your trigger finger awareness and hit this brake first. Hit the brake lever. Okay, now the safety switch is here on the back. When it's in this position, it's in safe. Forward, and you can see the red dot, is fire. So that should be on safe. The gun's hot.
I know the gun's hot.
Okay, so you pull the trigger, it's going to go off as long as it's safe. So what you're going to want to do is make sure you got it in real tight, because it is going to kick. And so the more you can kind of put your weight forward, the better off you're going to be. And hug it real tight to your shoulder. And then when you're ready to shoot, switch that to go, and
then to reload, I pump it, right?
that's right.
This is heavy. I was off. I just was low.
Not one.
No. It didn't go.
Well, she lost count of her rounds there at the end, but I think we've all made that mistake. But she did not short chuck it, which is frankly something you see a lot of people doing. So, hey, good on that. Good on that. And at this point, it's getting pretty close to dinner time. And again, we've been out for hours, and with the cost of ammo these days, yeah, we're about ready to probably pack it in, guys. I think fish is on the menu for tonight. Fish and potatoes.
Did y'all hear that? I don't hear what.
It's done.
Well, appreciate you kind of hanging out with us. Again, really, I needed a relaxing weekend, and it was great to spend time with an old friend and meet his new significant other. And they've been together a couple of years. It's just for one reason or another, we hadn't had time to meet up in a little bit. So that was great, and great to be out at a place that was so important to my father. And towards the end there, my brother came over about dinner time, and he's basically custodian or whatever of the place. He's a hunter, and it's really important to them, and all that good stuff. So they kind of joined us towards the tail end there of shooting a little bit. Let's see. Yeah. That wasn't my brother you saw, by the way, shooting. That was actually one of his friends. But either way, he was actually over cooking. Literally, as soon as they got in from riding around the mountains, they had him over the stove cooking. Guess they're hungry. But no, I just wanted to share that with you a bit. I hope you enjoyed it. And, just, hanging out. We will definitely have true, full videos talking about the pros and cons. But the good news is we had no failures except for that one bad mag and the couple of times it caused problems. So very successful day overall. And really, truly excellent weather. I just could not ask for better. Yeah, and with that, I think we're good. Feel free to comment. And as always, if you could, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And again, if you like more of a, informal take with some extended cuts from this video and maybe some stories from me in a kind of semi-black box video that I do, check out the companion to this video over on my personal channel, just known as Misha. I will link it in the description. How about that? And yeah, stay tuned for full videos. I'm going to be doing one on the SAPRs, all the different versions. It's military history. Probably will end up doing at least 2 videos on the B+T here. One on it as more of a gun, and one on the SCW program. And I'm sure the MP5K will appear in that video. And I'm sure end up doing more with the T91 and T65K too. And, I've got to mention the HD18 at least once in a while, because it's, one of the internet's favorite guns. Once again, I hope everyone had a good, relaxing 3-day Memorial Day holiday weekend. I sure as hell needed it, and it was just what the doctor ordered, so I hope everyone else did the same. And with that, this is Misha, and I'll catch you very soon, maybe again with some of the other friends next time.